Start Prabhuji.
Hi.
Yeah, your son will.
Hare Krishna. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mayam Tadasmi Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Akapatamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sarvailam Swagadulam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopika Gopika Kanda Radha Kanda Namostute Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanustute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanjakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhayeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
I'm going to read the verse.
Sasrin going to read the verse.
हरे कृष्ण। समसत्रौ च मित्रे च तथामानापमानयोः शीतोष्णसुखदुःखेषु समसङ्गविवर्जितः तुल्या निन्दास्तुतिर्मौनी सन्तुष्टो येन केनचित् अनिकेतस्थिरमतिर्भक्तिमान् मे प्रियो नरः। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, sorry, today we are in chapter 12, text 18 and 19 we are doing. So, Soni Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, are you able to read line by line?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Samaha sastro cha mitre cha.
Samaha sautrau cha mitresha.
Tata manapana manayo.
Tata manapamanayo.
Sitoshna sukha dukeshu.
Shitoshna sukha dukkeshu.
Samasanga vivajitaha.
Samasanga vivajitaha.
Tulya ninda stutirmoni.
Tulya ninda stutirmauni.
Santushto yena kenachit.
Santusto yena kenachit.
Aniketashti matir.
Aniketastiramadhir.
Bhaktiman me priyo naraha.
Bhaktiman me priyo naraha.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Premila Mataji. You like to read line by line?
Prabhu, can I please do the English? I'm not very good with the...
Okay, Mataji. Now
Thank
we
you.
are going for a translation, word to word. Lata Mataji. Samaha equal.
Satrau
Satrau
to an enemy. Cha also. Mitre to a friend. Cha also. Tata so. Mana in honor. Apamanayo and dishonor. Shita in cold. Ushna heat. Shuka happiness. Dukeshu and distress. Samaha equipoised,
equipoised,
Sangha Vivarjitaha,
Sangha Vivarjitaha,
free from all association,
free from all
all
association,
association,
Tulya,
Tulya,
equal,
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 Ninda,
Ninda,
in defamation,
in defamation,
Stuti,
Stuti,
and repute,
and refute,
Mauni,
Mauni,
silent,
silent,
Santustaha,
Santustaha,
satisfied,
satisfied,
Kinachit,
Enakena,
with anything,
with anything,
Aniketaha,
Aniketaha,
having no residence,
having no residence,
Tiraha,
Stiraha,
fixed,
fixed,
Matiha,
Matiha,
determination,
determination,
Bhaktiman,
Bhaktiman,
engaged in devotion,
Engaged
in devotion,
may
may
to me,
to me,
Priyaha,
Priyaha,
dear,
dear,
Naraha,
Naraha,
a man,
Aman.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Pramila Mataji, can you read the translation?
Yes, Prabhu. Sure. One who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge, and who is engaged in devotional service, such a person is very dear to me. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Viraj Kishori Mataji, can you do read the translation? We will follow you.
Okay, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. A devotee is always free from all bad association. Sometimes one is praised and sometimes one is defamed. That is the nature of human society. But a devotee is always transcendental to artificial fame and infamy, distress and happiness. He is very patient. He does not speak of anything but the topics about Krishna. Therefore, he is called silent. Silent does not mean that one should not speak. Silent means that one should not speak nonsense. One should speak only the essentials. And the most essential speech for the devotee is to speak for the sake of the Supreme Lord. A devotee is happy in all conditions. Sometimes he may get very palatable foodstuffs, sometimes not, but he is satisfied. Nor does he care for any residential facility. He may sometimes live underneath a tree, and he may sometimes live in a very palatial building. He is attached to neither. He is called fixed because he is fixed in his determination and knowledge. We may find some repetition in the descriptions of the qualifications of a devotee, but this is just to emphasize the fact that a devotee must acquire all these qualifications. Without good qualifications, one cannot be a pure devotee. Harav abhaktasya kuto mahadguna. One who is not a devotee has no good qualification. One who wants to be recognized as a devotee should develop good qualifications. Of course, he does not extraneously endeavor to acquire these qualifications, but engagement in Krishna consciousness and devotional service automatically helps him develop them. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much. Now, Prabhuji, over to you.
Vanchakapachurista, Kripasindhu Padevata, Nitanam Bhavanego, Vaishnavanego. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Advaita Gadadhar Sivas, Gaur Bhakta. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. So the text again today, one who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equal poised in honor and dishonor, equal happiness and distress, fame and empathy, who is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, fixed in
Hare
knowledge.
Krishna Prabhuji, your volume is low, Prabhuji.
What?
Your volume is little bit low, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Sound.
Yeah. Who is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge, and who is engaged in devotional service. Such a person is very dear to me. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada elaborates on these different qualities of devotee. And he concludes that they're very important to develop these different qualities. Sometimes we hear that if one wanted to walk in fire, one would have to have the qualities of fire. Otherwise, one would be burned. So in order for us to fully awaken and have a relationship with Krishna, we have to have qualitatively the same qualities. It will be very difficult for us to associate for very long with Krishna, who is full of love, purity, free from contamination, who is equal-minded, if we're not like that also. We see that even amongst humans. Sometimes we work with different people, or we know people in our neighborhood, and their qualities are different than ours. They have different values, they have a different personality, and it's not always easy to spend much time with them, because the things that they talk about and the way they act may be really different than the way we usually. But we know they have their own friends, and when they get together, they do well together. So the same is true with Krishna and us, that if we want to associate with Krishna, we have to be like Krishna in quality. Sometimes Srila Prabhupada was asked, what is the difference between the Bhagavad Gita and other religious books and other religious systems? And he would point out that there's a lot of emphasis in the other scriptures upon morals and ethics and good character, which is absolutely essential for genuine spiritual progress, for having a relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. To have a relationship with Krishna, we have to have as stable a mind as possible. We have to have stable feelings. We have to be calm and peaceful and patient and tolerant. All of these qualities are in any relationship. Even to have a successful friendship or business relationship, or to have a marriage, if our mind is too much disturbed and it's not stable, it's going to be very difficult. Or if the other person. So to have a relationship with Krishna requires that we become situated in goodness as far as possible. And the other scriptures of the world, including Bhagavad Gita, very much emphasize being a good person, being kind, loving, giving, caring, patient, not stealing, being satisfied with what one has, not being greedy. These are all very essential qualities, and these qualities are actually natural to us. They're natural to us. In our original spiritual nature, we automatically have the best of good qualities. But right now, we're dealing with our contaminated mind and our contaminated intelligence, which is contaminated. We, the soul, are not contaminated. But this machine that we're dealing with, it doesn't always function in goodness. So in these verses and the next few verses, Lord Krishna is going to make the point that these qualities are very important. And Srila Prabhupada points out to us that these qualifications develop automatically, gradually, as we engage in devotional service. What are the two most important parts of devotional service for us? Who would like to offer their thoughts about that? Can you hear me?
Prabhuji, I'm not hearing very well, but my volume is very low.
Okay.
Abhinas
Prabhuji, it is
Prabhuji?
low. It is quite low. We can't hear you properly.
So I was asking, what are the two main practices of bhakti for us? Were you able to hear that?
Yes. Yeah, now better, Prabhuji.
Sadhana bhakti?
Yes. What are the two most important practices?
Harinam chanting. Harinam chanting, Prabhuji.
Well, hearing and chanting.
Yes.
Right. Shravanam Kirtanam, which includes reading about Krishna or hearing lectures about Krishna. So these are the two most essential practices. And what is it about Shravanam Kirtanam which is so purifying? Why is it that hearing and chanting about Krishna is so purifying?
It's Chitodarpanamarjanam. It removes the dust from the mirror of mind.
Yes. And why is that?
Because the name is so powerful, the name of the Lord is so powerful.
Yes. Shabda Brahman, spiritual sound. Spiritual sound is spiritual. And if we hear it respectfully and attentively, then it will revive our original spiritual nature. It is almost automatic, just like when we put our hand in fire, we don't have to think anything, it will burn. But especially with bhakti, with Shravanam Kirtanam, if we perform our hearing and chanting with respect and attention, with devotion, then it will be more effective. And the more that we keep ourselves hearing about, talking about, meditating upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that will become purified sooner. And the more that we put our ears and we use our tongue for talking about selfish materialistic purposes too much, then we will become covered over. Just as when a spark moves away from the fire, the spark becomes dark again. So this is our main method for awakening and staying awake in our spiritual identity, is to hear about, talk about, and meditate on Krishna. And there are 10 offenses which prevent us from experiencing the full effect, or as much of an effect as we could. And my understanding is that most of these offenses won't happen if we're just very attentive and don't think about other things while we're hearing and chanting. If we're very attentive and we're careful to keep awareness that we're in the presence of Krishna, then that will take care of most of those potential of those offenses. And that we're following the instructions of the spiritual master to our best ability. That we're not, I mean, it's a very rare thing, but we don't want, it's very much offensive if we deliberately, willfully, don't follow the instructions of the spiritual master, that we don't at least try. Krishna is in our heart, and he sees how much we are trying, how much we're not trying, and he reciprocates on behalf of the spiritual master. Sometimes the question is asked that the spiritual master is not God. He's not omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent, omnipresent. So how can he know how we're serving him? And the answer is that Krishna is in the hearts of everyone. And on behalf of the spiritual master, Krishna is hearing and seeing and reciprocating with all of us on behalf of the spiritual master. Now, Krishna is completely capable of giving our spiritual teacher the ability to understand one way or the other. It could happen in a seemingly ordinary way, that the spiritual master hears some news about what we're doing, or it could be that simply in meditation, the spiritual master becomes conscious by the grace of Krishna of what the disciple is doing. But in general, most of the time, Krishna is taking care of all that on behalf of the spiritual master. So we want to do our best to be sincere and follow the instructions of the spiritual master. The other thing that will ruin, has a great tendency to involve us in making offenses, is if we associate too much with non-devotees. I mean, we can't avoid speaking with all kinds of different people. We buy petrol for the car, we buy food, we buy supplies, we work, and that's all right. We say, hello, how are you? Hare Krishna. But if we spend time with non-devotees and in a just for pleasure, for just friends, if we do that too much, the tendency is to start doing what they're doing. And if they happen to be a little critical of Guru and Krishna and devotees, then there's a potential that we will pick up their criticism, even without realizing it. So we want to be very careful how much time we spend with those who are not respectful and appreciative of devotion. Does anyone have any questions up to this point?
Hare Krishna. Anybody having the question? Avinash Prabhuji, Pramila Mataji, Viraj Kishore Mataji, any question? Or Vishal Solanki having question? Kindly ask the question, please. Vishal Solanki.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna
Kindly ask.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
So my question is that sometimes you see when you are working, you only talk to work related. So is work related topics okay or is also bad?
Whatever is necessary for our service. You know, if we meet with devotees and we talk about things that are happening at work, or sometimes we're working with devotees in some business, or if we're not, if we're working with non-devotees, still we have to talk about what we're doing, but that can be from our side in a mood of service to Krishna. I need to make money, and so for my sadhana and for serving Krishna and Guru, and so whatever it takes for me to properly do my work and get paid, I'm doing that, but I'm doing it for Krishna. So we'll be protected. And sometimes we may be at lunch and someone will talk about the sports team or some politics. So we may exchange some conversation, but we don't want to go on and on and on. We don't want to spend the evening repeatedly with someone who's a non-devotee, so to speak. Sometimes in the workplace, the owner or someone will invite all the employees over to their house once or twice a year for some get together, or on the property of the company, the manager will, provide lunch for everyone or something. And so we get together and we talk, but it should not be regular and for a long time. Is that helpful?
Vishal Prabhuji?
Yes, yes.
Okay, correct.
Yeah, we shouldn't be fanatical. I never talk to anyone. No, that won't work.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Any other question?
So
Prabhuji, we may continue, Prabhuji.
all right. So then in the purport, Srila Prabhupada goes over each of the qualities that Lord Krishna describes, and he gives further instruction. And in the rest of the chapter, there's going to be some very important instructions in the purport. And it's very important for us to hear Bhagavad Gita so that we can get this instruction, how to think, how to talk in such a way that it's helpful for our bhakti. When Lord Krishna says, surrender unto me, as we were talking about last week, that includes that we're going to be studying Bhagavad Gita and we're going to learn. We're going to get a good idea of how to act every day, hour by hour. So it's important to read this and read it again. And by hearing attentively and hearing it again and again, we'll remember it. So in this purport, Srila Prabhupada points out that sometimes we're praised, sometimes we're defamed, but we should practice being neutral, thinking that that's the way this world is. And sometimes people say nice things about me, sometimes people say negative things. We should not pay too much attention to either one. We should be patient. We don't speak about anything but topics of Krishna. A devotee is happy in all conditions. Sometimes he may get palatable foodstuffs. Sometimes he may live in a nice house, sometimes not. So a devotee should cultivate being satisfied, that as long as I have something to eat, I have some place to sleep, what more do I need? And my ultimate happiness of life is not going to come from any material situation. I may have this vehicle or that vehicle. I may have these clothes or those clothes. And we can appreciate, and we should appreciate. It's not that we should not appreciate the things of this world, but we remain conscious that they're not the final goal of life. When Lord Chaitanya was traveling through the Jarikanda forest, his servant Balabhaja Bhattacharya was getting different kinds of things to eat, and Lord Chaitanya was feeling very grateful. He wasn't thinking, oh, I'm not this body, this food is Maya. No, he said, it's very tasty, it's very nourishing, and I thank Krishna. So this is very important. just because things are temporary and just because we're ultimately spirit doesn't mean that we should not appreciate, oh, this is a nice warm blanket. Thank you, Krishna. Right? Whatever it may be that we have, we should appreciate it. And it can be an impetus for us to reciprocate. Oh, this is very tasty food. Thank you, Krishna. What can I do for you? You see? So this is personalism. We don't want to deny that the material world exists. Oh, this food, it doesn't taste good. Yes, it does. It does taste good. But we give thanks to Krishna. And we remember that ultimately we, the spirit soul, have our own spiritual senses, and that the pleasurable sensations of our body are not our ultimate goal of life. They come and they go. So then Srila Prabhupada comments that Lord Krishna is repeating some of these qualities in the verses, but this is to help us understand how important it is to cultivate these qualities. And we are all put into situations every day in the course of our work, just dealing with our own body, dealing with our mind, dealing with our family, where we have an opportunity to practice being tolerant, being patient, being equal-minded. So we can take those opportunities. So when things are difficult, rather than complaining too much, we can think, here's an opportunity for me to go deeper into actually bringing out these qualities. And it's not always easy. Sometimes it is hard to bite our tongue and not just yell at someone. Sometimes it's hard to keep an equal mind and not complain too much when things don't go our way. But that's austerity. And by that austerity, gradually, our nature will change. So that all of these good qualities, they become more permanent. And the more we practice, the more we accept the difficulty of practicing, the sooner it will become easier. So each of us may find developing some of these qualities harder than someone else. Someone may already be calm, even whatever food they eat. But when they're tested in a relationship, they have a tendency to speak sharply and become angry. So each of us has usually easier and harder challenge to develop these qualities. And without praying to Krishna for the strength, it is not going to be ultimately successful. We cannot do it on our own. We should forget about that. I mean, we should do our best, but it is very valuable to learn this very early, that, oh Lord Krishna, oh my divine spiritual master, I'm not finding the strength to act in the way that I should. Please help me. That's our chanting. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, energy of the Lord, oh Lord, I'm small, I'm tiny, I'm being tossed around by Maya. I don't have the strength completely to lift myself up. Please help me. So that is very, very important. And also that can be something which is encouraging to us. When we think, because I think, I believe most of us have felt this way, or we will, that we begin to feel, I can't do this. Oh, I'm just going to forget about this Krishna consciousness. It's too hard. Or, on this particular day or particular week, I'm just going to forget about it. So that rather than go into that mood too far, we should use that mood. Oh, I should pray to Krishna for strength. That's what I should do. And we are going to be put in situations where we feel helpless or not having enough strength, because Krishna wants to teach us to become dependent on him. So these situations they're going to happen. So we shouldn't become upset, or we shouldn't wonder what's going on. What's going on is that Krishna is giving us an opportunity to become humble and ask for help. So that's what's going on. Krishna himself is allowing these different challenging situations to happen so that we can. One moment. There's some bad situation.
Hare Krishna, maybe we can chant.
Yes, Mataji, we chant.
Yes.
I have to go. A family member died. So
Oh.
I'm sorry. I'm coming.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Hare. Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Sorry, very sorry, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Soni Mataji. Yeah, I think Prabhuji is gone.
Yes.
Can you conclude the session, Mataji?
Okay. Hare Krishna, to all the assembled devotees, let's chant and pray that all is well at Prabhuji's home. Let's chant the Maha Mantra and then we conclude.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Vanchakalpataruvyasya
कृपा सिंधु
Patitanam
पावनेभ्यो
Vaishnavibhyo Namo
वैष्णवेभ्यो
Namaha.
नमो नमः
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
जय
Dina Sharana Prabhuji ki Jai.
जय
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We pray for Prabhuji relative soul, so rest to Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we can all leave?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. Hare Bol.
Correct. Sorry. Very sorry.